you name it. So I'd like to call the first speaker up, Tony Jabara from Sense Networks. He's come out here all the way from New York City to present. And I'm not going to say any more because it's all in his presentation.
Great, thanks, Vicky, and it's great to be here. I'm very excited to talk to all of you, and I think there's a lot of exciting things happening in the Bay Area, so I'm always eager to fly out here and talk to folks. What I'll be talking about is a technology solution that Sense Networks provides, which is how do we convert our mobile call location and calling pattern data into an understanding of who I am as a user or my lifestyle. So can you look at my phone data and figure out if I'm a student or a business traveler or a stay-at-home dad? Can you make that kind of determination? And Sense Networks was founded in 2006 with that vision. We want to do analytics on the massive amount of mobile data that's floating out there to enable some of this smart, so you can really understand who the person is at a lifestyle level. And these are my co-founders, including Sandy Pentland from MIT, and I'm a professor at Columbia. My area is machine learning, which is how do you extract understanding from data. And we started in 2006. We have funding from Intel and Janlong, venture partners who are both here. There are 15 staffers total, and they fly out here very often to meet with our investors. So here's our basic overview. What we'd like to do is mine mobile data. And mobile data is floating around all sorts of places, including vehicles. If you take a taxi, you generate mobile location data. Smart apps are generating location data and usage patterns as well. The infrastructure itself, from the base stations and all the different infrastructure providers, generates a lot of who's using the messaging, who's using SMSs, who's located where from the infrastructure. And the carriers as well have a gold mine of location call data. What we'd like to do at Sense Networks, what we're doing right now, is we're analyzing this data and basically building networks of people. So figuring out what your lifestyle is and also who are you similar to in terms of a network. So a little like Facebook, but without the way Facebook does it, which is just explicitly connect to somebody to become their friend and be considered part of their circle. The way we do it is we look at your calling patterns and your location patterns. So for example, we're all in this room right now today, spending a few hours together. Our mobile phones have figured out that we're co-located and interested in the same topic for a few hours. So there should be a weak Facebook link between all of us right now that says we're kind of similar in a sense. So that's what we'd like to build, this network of people, the way Facebook built it. And then we'd like to enable some of these really successful online business models where we start getting that type of intelligence from this data. So there's a gold mine of data that's actually in some ways richer than our online data, which is this offline data we're generating from our mobile phones. Whenever we're anywhere, our phones know where we are, they know who we're communicating with and when. And what we like to do is figure out, well, if I'm sending SMSs at 3 in the morning on Saturday, I'm more likely to be a student than, let's say, a stay-at-home dad. And we'd like to enable some of these collaborative filtering kind of business models. So just like Amazon looks at your purchase history and says, oh, I've seen that you overlap with someone else's book purchase history. Here's a book they bought you haven't heard of yet. You might be interested in that. Can we do the same thing with location data? Here are a few restaurants I went to, and somebody else might have overlapped with me in those restaurants. But there's a new restaurant I don't know about, and so I should be recommended that new restaurant because I overlap a lot with that person, we share some interests. This is something I should look into. So that's kind of the overall picture. We're getting location data now from various sources, including our own data from our own apps. We have a Friend Finder app and a couple of other apps. We're also getting data from some carriers, primarily in the US, although we have a European carrier coming out. And the main thing we're measuring from this data is latitudes, longitudes with some error measurements, and a timestamp every time someone makes an SMS or a data transaction or a voice call. So we get a little bit of this communication metadata. So we might also sometimes see who they called. Everything is hashed, and we're doing this behind a firewall for carriers. But it turns out this level of data is a lingua franca, because this type of data exists all over the world. You don't have to do something special, because all the carriers are already working at this level and storing this data. It's part of their billing information and so on. So it's a lingua franca. In Europe, you can also count on getting a lat long timestamp, some accuracy measurement, and some call descriptor and a unique ID. So this is really ubiquitous data. One of the things we started off showing is a really simple type of analytic. So this is the simplest statistic or machine learning you can do, just to show what the density of the people is right now in my city. So we have this app called CitySense, which works on a BlackBerry, an iPhone, and a Nokia phone. I'm glad I have that here today. And it shows you a heat map. This is San Francisco, of the density of users at pretty much every street corner. And it updates every 10 minutes. So this shows you where everybody is right now, and I can find the busiest bars and restaurants. Instead of just searching for what's around me, I can say, oh, let me see where the busy places are if I want to go out tonight. I don't really know my way around San Francisco. And of course, the next level that people want us to look into is not just where's everybody right now, but where are people like me? So I don't want to go to a student bar necessarily if I'm a business traveler. I want to see a heat map which is color-coded by colors which maybe indicate different types of social clusters or segments in the population. So it turns out orange are students here. We've labeled the student users orange. We've labeled the touristy users purple, the business users red, and so on. So now I know I'm a business traveler. I would like to go to the places that are bars with a high density of business travelers. So how do we do this? This is kind of the secret sauce. How do we go from this massive amount of data into this level of understanding about this lifestyle of the user?